The room was filled with tension as Jungkook stood at the head of the conference table, his face flushed with frustration. The clients seated across him exchanged uneasy glances. A large screen behind Jungkook displayed the presentation slides, unrelated to the project they were supposed to discuss. Jungkook exchanged a glance with you, clearly asking, "What is this mess?" You shook your head nervously as you are also unaware of this unexpected situation. "I apologize for the inconvenience. It seems there has been a mix-up." His voice was tight with controlled anger. The clients were clearly unimpressed. "We have prepared thoroughly for the meeting, and we need to see the correct files to consider this partnership," said the client. Jungkook nodded stiffly, trying to maintain composure. "We'll get this sorted immediately." "No need, Mr. Jeon. We are not up for this deal. Let's not just waste my time." "Wait, Mr. Park, we can fix." "Mr. Park, kindly wait. We are going to fix it immediately." "I said what I said, Mr. Jeon. We are not collaborating anymore." Bogum stood up and walked away from the meeting room with his assistant. You gulped seeing him walking away. Jungkook sighed with frustration. Then he turned to you, who had been responsible for preparing the presentation. You fidgeted your fingers as you are kinda scared now. He is furiously glaring at you. You tried to form words. "Mr. John, in my office right now," he said in his scary, cold tone and walked past you. You sighed and rubbed your forehead out of frustration. "I need an explanation. How did this happen? How could you present the wrong file?" "I honestly don't know, Mr. John. I thought I had the right file. I checked it before the meeting. It was my dream project. Do you even have any idea how important this was? And now it's all gone because of your carelessness." "I'm really sorry, Mr. John. I understand how crucial this." "No, you don't understand anything. If you did, then this mistake should never have happened at first place." You flinched as he shouted. He ran his hand through his hair. "I'm really sorry, Mr. John. I don't know how this happened. I clearly remember I checked those files." "What were you even thinking, Ryan? I can't believe you made such a silly mistake." "I'm as confused as you are, Mr. John. I double-checked everything before the meeting. I don't understand how the wrong file was used." "This is exactly not what I want to hear, Ryan. This was my dream project, my chance to make a significant impact. And now it's all for nothing because of your carelessness." He raised his voice. "I know, and I'm incredibly sorry, Mr. John. I would never intentionally." "Sorry is not enough, Ryan. What are you going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again?" His voice strained with anger. "Mr. John, I understand the gravity of the mistake. I will implement a more thorough review process and double-check my work. I will learn from it." "But what about now? My dream project, for which I have been working for the last 6 months, is ruined because of your carelessness. How could you be so irresponsible, Van?" He shouted and you flinched. "I'm sorry, Mr. John. I will fix it," you replied in low voice while looking down. "How, Van? Just how?" Everything is finished now, he again shouted, and you flinched, tears threatening to fall from your eyes. You know what, Vine? I'm giving you 3 hours. Find out what exactly happened, how the hell files got exchanged, and if you couldn't figure out anything, then I will consider that it was your own carelessness, and you will be reassigned to the 3rd department from your secretary position, because I just can't accept such mistakes from my secretary. Your eyes widen in shock. But Mr. John, now get out from here, he said in a cold tone. You looked up at him, but his back is facing you. Mr. John, I'm sorry, it was not. You were stuttering. Jungkook shut his eyes and tilted his head back in frustration and cuts you off. Vine, I said get out from here before I fire you or do anything worse. This time you flinched badly that you unknowingly took a step back, and you look up at his back as it is facing you, and put your hand on your mouth to muffle the sobs. I'm sorry, Mr. John, for causing you trouble, you somehow said in a cracked voice, then bowed and left from there. Person who was overhearing the conversation smirked internally and walked away from there. Jungkook sighed in frustration as soon as you left. He paced the room. He grabbed a stack of files from the table and threw them on the floor. Papers scattered across the room, and his anger echoed in the empty space. I messed up very badly, he cursed under his breath, his face flushed with a mixture of anger and regret. He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. The sound of your muffled sob ringing in his ear. He knew he had crossed a line, and his conscience pricked him with the realization of how harsh he had been. He felt a pang of regret for letting his anger spill over at you. Determined to find a solution, Jungkook dialed a number on his phone. He paced impatiently as it rang. Hello, boss. Dex, I need you to do something. Yes, boss. Give Vine access to everything she needs. She is trying to trace what went wrong at the meeting, and she needs all the resources she can. Get including security access. So make sure she gets whatever she needs, and you need to be with her to help her in this situation. Okay, boss. Jungkook cuts the call and threw his phone on the couch. He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. Damn it. How did this happen? This was supposed to be perfect. You walked back to your desk, tears streaming down your face. The weight of Jungkook's anger and the gravity of the situation had overwhelmed you. You sat down heavily, trying to compose yourself. Some employees who were also present in the meeting room walked to you with concerned face. What did the boss say, Miss Vine? He asked me to prove that it was not my mistake, and if I couldn't prove it in 3 hours, then I will have to move to the 3rd department. Everyone gasped in surprise, worries clearly visible on their face. I hope you proved to the boss that it was not you, because we believe you can't make such mistakes. They reassured you, then walked away. The emotions were raw and painful, but you knew that dwelling on them would not help solve the problem. After a few minutes, you wiped away your tears, took a deep breath, The person who was secretly watching you smirked internally. Now, no one can save you, Kimban. You will not be able to find anything in 3 hours. She laughed like a devil and walked away from there. I need to stop crying and find out what actually went wrong, because I have only 3 hours and I can't waste it on crying. Taking a deep breath and composing yourself, you started by reviewing the presentation files. You opened the folder where you had stored the documents and looked for any discrepancies. 1 hour passed, but you got nothing, then decided to check the security cameras, so you went to desks. Dex, I need to check the security camera footage. You prayed in mind that he agrees because it's a confidential thing and only CEO has access to it. No other employee can randomly check the security footage. Alright, let's do this. We can spot anyone near your desk around the time the files were altered. You nodded vigorously and thanked him. You both went to the security office and reviewed the footage from the past few hours. You scanned through hours of video watching as people moved about the office. After a painstaking search, you noticed that the footage was removed between time 1:40 to 1:50. Your eyes widened. Footage between 1:40 to 1:50 is missing. Yeah, I can see that too. And that this is exactly before the meeting, as meeting was held at 2 p.m. But who would do that? No one has access to it. I also don't know what I should do now. There is no sign of anyone tampering with my desk. I think I should ask employees if they have seen anyone near my... Yes, you are right. Let's not lose hope yet. Maybe someone saw something. Let's ask around, he said, then you thankfully looked at him. Thank you so much, Dex, for your support, but I really can't drag you in my matter. You should get back to your work. I can handle it myself. Wine is nothing. Now stop wasting time. We have only 1.5 hours left. Let's go. You immediately nodded, then you and Dex made your way through the office, asking each employee if they had seen anyone near your desk or noticed anything suspicious. You were met with a series of puzzled expressions and shrugged shoulders. No one had seen anything unusual. It's frustrating. If someone had seen something, it might have helped us piece this together. I know, it feels like we are running out of options. Time was slipping away and you felt the pressure mounting. You glanced at the clock. Only 1 hour is left and your heartbeat is rising with every passing minute. Wait, Van, did you find anything unusual when you went to your desk after the meeting, which leads to your doubt? You tried to remember. No, Dex. I didn't find anything unusual. I think whoever did this is a very sharp-minded person. We should go back and recheck everything. There might be something we missed or another angle we have not considered. Yes, let's go back to the desk and see if there is any clue. Back at your desk, you and Dex meticulously reviewed the files and logged once more. You check the access permissions and any recent changes again, hoping to spot something. Time slipped by and now only 15 minutes are left. You have not found any clue till now. You sighed and looked at Dex. We have done everything in our power. Still, we couldn't find anything. Who could have done this? Did you recently get in a fight with someone over something? No, Dex, I didn't. And now we can't even do anything as the footage are removed. I will not be able to prove myself without any evidence, you said while looking at an invisible point. You were right. Time is also slipping. I hope you shot this out with the boss. You nodded. Thank you for your incredible help, Dex. It's alright, Van. It was boss' order to get you access to everything and help you to figure out the issue. I'll get back to work now, he said, then walked away. You got astonished to hear this piece of news. You unbelievably shook your head. Mr. John? Why would he do so? You muttered while looking at an invisible point. Jungkook's hand trembles slightly as he runs them through his hair, pacing back and forth across the room. His usually cool demeanor has slipped away, replaced by nervous energy that he can't seem to shake. His eyes dart towards the clock, filled with a mixture of anxiety and desperation. Hope you find some clue. I can't lose you as my secretary. Not now, not never, he says, his voice barely ever a whisper, but with heavy emotion. The soft ticking of the clock has been a constant reminder of time slipping away. 3 hours have passed, and despite your best efforts, you have come up empty-handed. I did all my best. The footage is gone, and I can't prove myself. And I can't tell Mr. John that I couldn't found anything because footage is missing. He will think of it as an excuse, and I very well know that he hates those who are not careful. Enough and makes excuses. I think I will have to move to the 3rd department. There is no other option left. You muttered to yourself. Then you took a deep breath and steadied yourself as you walked toward Jungkook's office. As you open the door, you find him pacing around. Anxiety was clearly visible on his face. He stops the moment he sees you. Something was flickering in his eyes, maybe hope, but you couldn't recognize it. He slides his hands in his pocket. I hope to hear something positive, Miss Van. Your heartbeat raced out of fear. Mr. John, I could... Stop stuttering, for God's sake, Van. You flinched a little as he said in a little raised voice as he was running out of patience. He just wanted to hear something positive from you. I'm sorry, Mr. John. I couldn't find anything. You said quietly while bowing, your voice laced with regret. His heart dropped on hearing you. The hope in his expression dims, his shoulders sinking with the weight of your words. He turns away, running a hand over his face, trying to hold himself together. You couldn't find anything. What should I consider it as? You are looking down and didn't say anything. Speak up, Ban, he asked sternly, but you still remained silent as you really didn't have anything to say. He sighed. Then, should I consider that you yourself are responsible for this mistake? You fidgeted your fingers, tears threatening to fall from your eyes, but you hold them back and nodded reluctantly. Jungkook's heart dropped on saying this, but he maintained his composure. Then I hope you know what you have to do now. You nodded while looking down. I will shift my step and move to the third department right away, Mr. John. I'm really sorry for ruining your dream project. You said in a cracked voice, then bowed and left from there. The person who was overhearing from outside went in the corner to avoid getting caught by you. She has a smug grin on her face. Told you, you won't be able to find anything. She smirks to herself and walks away from there. No, I can't let this happen, he mutters softly, almost as if speaking to himself while looking at your retreating figure. There has to be something, anything. I can't let this happen. His voice cracks slightly, betraying his emotions. He quickly picks up his phone number and dials a number. As soon as you leave Jungkook's office, you can feel the tears stinging your eyes, but you refuse to let them fall. Not here. Your legs carry you quickly down the hallway until you find the bathroom. Once inside, you lock the door, leaning against the cold tile wall for a moment as you try to catch your breath. Walking toward the mirror, you can't hold it back anymore. Tears stream down your face as you stare at your reflection. Your eyes red and filled with pain. You feel hollow, the guilt gnawing at you from the inside. You have let him down. His dream project, something he worked on so passionately for 6 months, now feels ruined because of your failure. I messed up. I ruined everything, you whispered to yourself while clutching the sink. The words break you even more, and your sobs echo in the empty bathroom. The weight of his disappointment presses down on you, and all you can think about is the look in his eyes, the way that flicker of hope died the moment you told him you had found nothing. You feel like you have lost more than just his trust. You have lost the part of the image he had of you, the person he relied on, and the thought that crushes you. Dex, what did you find? Did you come across anything unusual? He asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Dex nods, his gaze unwavering. Yes, boss, there is something off. I was going through the security footage, like you asked, and I noticed that some footage was missing right before the meeting. It's like someone intentionally cut it out. Jungkook's heart skips a beat. His instincts had been right. Something was mysterious. What do you mean missing? He pressed, his voice sharp with urgency. It's just gone. Everything is there up until a few minutes before the meeting started. Then nothing. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Jungkook's jaw tightens, his frustration bubbling just beneath the surface. Someone tampered with the footage. This is official. No one has access to it. Who would dare to do something like this? He stands up abruptly, his mind racing to figure out who could be behind it. Turning towards Dex, his eyes are sharp with determination. We need to find out who is responsible. Go do some research, talk to the surveillance team, ask them if there is any way to recover their deleted footage, anything at all. Dex shakes his head slightly, hesitating before he responds. Boss, deleted footage can't be recovered. It's gone for good. Jungkook's fist clenched in frustration. He can't let it end like this. Not for you, not for anyone. Still, we have to do something. We can't just let this go. I can't let this happen to Van. Whoever did this, they are trying to ruin Van, but I won't let them ruin her. Jungkook is no longer just fighting for his project. He is fighting for you, for your reputation, and for the truth. After what felt like an hour in the bathroom, you finally gather enough strength to face the reality. Wiping away the remaining tears, you turn to your desk. Your heart is happy with disappointment. Slowly you begin packing your things, each item a painful reminder of the work, effort, and trust that now seems lost. Tears continue to fall despite your attempts to hold them back. What you don't know is that Jungkook is watching everything from the security camera in his office. His eyes fixed on the screen and his heart pounds as he sees you, broken and hurt, packing your things. His jaw tightens and he clenches his fist so hard that his knuckles turn white. Watching you suffer like this, he feels something deep inside him stir. He makes a promise to himself in that moment. I will give you your position back within a day with all the respect you deserve. Jungkook mutters under his breath. The sight of you in pain does something to him. He had not realized until now how much it would hurt him to see tears in your eyes. He can't stand it. As you finish packing and take one last look at the desk that once felt like home, just as you are about to leave, a few employees approach, their expressions filled with curiosity and concern. Did you find anything? One of them asked hesitantly, their eyes searching your face for some glimmer of hope. Athena is the team leader of the first department. No, I didn't find anything. Maybe it was my own mistake. Maybe I missed something. You said quietly while shaking your head. Your words are laced with guilt, the weight of self-blame sinking deeper into your chest. The employees exchange uncertain glances, their faces showing sympathy. One of them steps forward and says softly, "You are moving to the third department, right? We heard about it. We will miss you." Their kindness only makes it harder to hold back the tears threatening to spill over again. You offer a weak smile, nodding. "I'll miss you guys too," you say, though your voice trembles with the effort of keeping yourself together. As they offered words of support and farewell, you walked away to the third department, your head lowered in defeat. All the employees watched your retreating figure with a pang of sadness, but someone from them smirks in victory watching you going away. Jungkook is still watching you through the security camera in his office. His helplessness hits him like a punch to the gut. He cursed under his breath, anger and frustration bubbling up inside him. He is the CEO, yet he feels powerless watching you leave. He can't let it in like this, not for you. But right now, he doesn't have the answers, and that only fuels his desperation. He grabs his phone and dials the number of the third department manager. His fingers are trembling with urgency. The manager picks up on the second ring, his voice calm and professional. Yes, Mr. John, how can I assist you? Jungkook didn't waste a second. Listen closely. You have just had my secretary transferred to your department. Make sure she doesn't face any issue. No problems, no obstacles, nothing. Understood? He says, his voice is sharp but filled with protective edge. There is a slight pause on the other end. The manager clearly sensed the intensity behind Jungkook's words. But why is Miss Kim transferring here? Just do what you are asked. Okay, Mr. John. I will make sure everything goes smoothly. Jungkook exhales, but the frustration and helplessness still simmer inside him. He wants to. Good. She's been through enough already. I will hold you personally responsible if anything goes wrong. The manager sensed Jungkook's distress, so he quickly reassures him. Mr. John, please, don't worry. I will make sure she is treated with the utmost respect. She won't face any issue under my watch. Jungkook exhales slowly. His grip on the phone loosens slightly. Thank you. Just make sure nothing happens to her. She is important to this company and to me. He whispered the last part to himself. Jungkook's heart aches with the helplessness of the situation. He knows he can't control everything, but he won't rest until he finds a way to set things right. He won't let anyone else cause you pain. Jungkook is trying to focus on the work. Just then, Athena walks into his office with a bright smile, her heels clicking softly on the floor. Good morning, sir. I have been appointed as your new secretary. Jungkook, who had been lost in his work, looks up while frowning. He stands up abruptly, the irritation clear on his face. I didn't appoint you, he says firmly, his tone leaving no room for discussion. Athena shifts slightly but maintains her composure. The president appointed me, sir. Jungkook's eyes darken as he steps away from his desk. I don't care who appointed you. I don't need a secretary. Leave, he said in a cold tone. He can't imagine anyone else sitting where you once sat, handling the task that you so diligently cared for. No one could replace you, not to him. Before Athena can say anything else, the door swings open and the president Namjoon storms in, his face flushed with anger. Jungkook, you are going to accept Athena as your secretary, and that's final, he shouted. Even though Namjoon is Jungkook's elder brother, yet he doesn't flinch. I refuse. I don't need anyone else. No one can take Vyan's place, he says coldly, but Namjoon's face reddens with fury. You need a talented secretary, not someone like Vyan who messed everything up. His words are laced with disdain, the insult hanging heavily in the air. Jungkook's anger flares instantly, his body tensing. He steps forward, eyes blazing with fury. Don't you dare talk about her like that again, Young. She didn't mess up anything. If there's anyone to blame, it's whoever who sabotaged this project. I will find them, but don't you ever speak about her that way again. The room falls into a tense silence, but both men is standing rigid. He doesn't care if his own Hyung is standing in front of him. No one gets to speak ill of you. Whatever you say, Jungkook. But Athena is your secretary and that's final. There is no choice. His tone leaves no room for argument, clearly setting his decision in stone. Jungkook's frustration boils over. He glares at Namjoon, his voice sharp and unyielding. Do whatever you want, Hyung, but remember this. No one can replace Wine. I won't accept anyone else. He says fiercely, his words are laden with defiance, a clear message that he holds his ground no matter the consequences. Jungkook sits at his desk, his hands resting on the keyboard as he stares blankly at the documents in front of him. No matter how hard he tries, he can't focus. His mind keeps drifting back to you. He glances up at the security camera feed, a habit he has developed without even realizing it. And there you are, sitting at your new desk in the third department, working quietly. The sadness etched on your face is unmistakable, and it cuts through him like a knife. He can see your eyes don't carry their usual spark. His heart aches, the guilt settling even deeper in his chest. Jungkook sighs heavily, rubbing his temples in an attempt to shake off the weight pressing down on him. Without thinking, he calls out, "Wine, bring me some coffee." He freezes the moment your name escapes his lips, the familiar routine slipping out unconsciously. The silence that follows only deepens the ache in his chest as the reality sinks in. You are no longer his secretary. I miss her, he mutters under his breath, his hand clenching slightly as the realization stings even more. Just as the words leave his mouth, Athena walks in, having heard him call out. "Sir, you called?" Jungkook's gaze flickers to her. He shakes his head slightly, trying to cover the slip. "It's nothing," he replies shortly, while standing up from his chair. "Are you sure you don't need anything? I heard you asking for coffee." Jungkook lets out a quiet sigh, trying to mask his frustration. He looks at her briefly before shaking his head. "I don't need anything from you. I can get coffee by myself." Jungkook stands up and walks past her. The thought of someone else trying to fill your role feels wrong to him. Athena clenches her fist, frustration bubbling up inside her. Unable to hold back her irritation, she stomps her feet on the floor. What has that done to him? She mutters under her breath. It infuriates her, and the way he called out your name instead of hers only fuels her frustration further. As you walk down the hallway toward Jungkook's office, the files your manager asked you to deliver clutched in your hands, you mentally prepare yourself. You have not seen him up close since the transfer, and part of you is nervous about the brief encounter. Just as you reach the door and are about to knock, Athena suddenly steps in front of you, blocking your way. "Where are you going?" she asks, her tone sharp, her eyes narrowing slightly as they flicker towards the files in your hands. "My manager asked me to deliver these files to Mr. John," you explained, holding up the documents. Athena crosses her arms, her expression hardening. "You can't go in. Boss is busy. Give me the files, and I will hand them to him." Something about her attitude rubs the wrong way. You straighten up and ask, "Okay, but why are you stopping me from going into his office?" Her smirk widens and she tilts her head as if enjoying the moment. Oh, don't you know? I'm Mr. Jeon's secretary now, so you will have to go through me. The words hit you harder than you expected, but you keep your composure. Your chest tightens slightly, but you hand over the files, knowing there is no point in making a scene. You simply nod, keeping your face neutral. You turn to go but halted on your steps on hearing her. Jungkook himself appointed me as his secretary, she says, her tone laced with smugness. You stop, but don't immediately turn around, her words sinking in slowly. The idea that Jungkook would personally appoint someone else stings more than you'd like to admit. A part of you wants to brush it off, but there is a knot of doubt tightening in your chest. Don't you find something suspicious about that? She asked with an evil smirk. You take a steadying breath before slowly turning back to face her. Suspicious? Why would I? If he appointed you, then that's his decision. Athena raises an eyebrow, her smirk still firmly in place. Are you sure about that? She asked, a hint of challenge in her voice. It's for the best. He deserves someone who can handle things without mistakes. I hope you live up to that. You turn around and walked away. As you make your way down the hallway, Athena suddenly steps in front of you, blocking your path. Her face is unreadable. What now, Athena? It's such a pity that the footage of right before the meeting is missing. Your eyes widened and you couldn't help but ask. How do you know about that? Athena's smirk grows. Oh, that's because she pauses for a dramatic effect. It's me who removed the footage. The confession hits you like a punch to the gut. Your heart races and a mixture of disbelief and anger churns inside you. Why would you do that? You demand, your voice trembling with emotion. Because I exchanged the files of yesterday's meeting. You couldn't believe what you heard just now. Why did you do so? What do you gain from this? It's not just about my gains, it's about Jungkook's gains as well. You look at her, confusion etched on your face. What do you mean by that? He was fed up with you being his secretary, and if you don't know, then let me tell you, he has feelings for me. And he wanted me as his secretary, so he himself made all this plan to remove you from your position. Her words hits you like a truck. You unconsciously shake your head in negligence. No, you are definitely lying. Mr. Jeon can't do so. Really? Don't you know that no random person can get access to the security footage? It's highly official and only boss has the clearance to handle it. Your mind races as you try to piece together her words. What are you trying to say? You shouted, your frustration growing. Athena leans in a bit before saying, what I am saying is, only Jungkook had the authority to handle or remove the footage. My access was not enough to bypass the security protocols. If the footage was tampered with, it was done under his direct orders or with his knowledge. The revelation hits you like a cold wave. Are you implying that Jungkook knew about this and this was his plan all along? You ask, your voice is barely above a whisper. Yes, it's his plan. It's unbelievable, but it's also true. Because getting access to the security footage is highly official. No random person could manage that. You feel a wave of frustration and confusion wash over you. But why Mr. Jeon would do this? If he was unhappy with me being his secretary, why go through such extreme measures? He could have just fired me directly. This also indirectly affected his dream project. Why risk so much? You asked, desperate for answers. He was fed up with the way things were, and sometimes when people are desperate or frustrated, they make decisions that seem extreme. It's his way of handling things. You were collateral damage in his eyes, a means to an end for what he perceived as the greater good. But this way he risked everything, his project, his reputation. You don't know him, he is the biggest businessman. He can manage to get back the collaborators and recover from this. The gravity of her statement hits you hard, and tears you have been holding back finally spill over, streaming down your cheeks. The realization that Jungkook, someone you trusted and admired, could be behind this scheme is devastating. You feel a mix of betrayal and frustration. Thinking deeply, it becomes clear, despite how unbelievable it seems, that Jungkook is behind the whole scheme. You feel a deep sense of hurt, but anger quickly rises within you. With a determined shake of your head, you wipe away your tears and make up your mind to confront Jungkook. You turn around to go to his office. Athena watches you leaving with a smirk, clearly enjoying the drama unfolding. You storm into Jungkook's office, your heart pounding with anger and hurt. Tears are glistening in your eyes, and your face is flushed red from crying. As soon as Jungkook sees you, his expression shifts from surprise to concern. His eyes locks onto yours, noticing the tears streaming down your face. And without hesitation, he quickly walks towards you, worry etched across his features. "Wine, what's wrong?" he asks, his voice soft but full of concern as he reaches out, trying to understand the pain you are in. "Why the hell did you do this?" You shout at him, your voice trembling with anger. His face twists in confusion. "What do you mean?" he asks, trying to grasp what's going on. "You had the power, Mr. John. If you wanted Athena as your secretary, you could have just fired me. Why go through so much drama? This whole scheme is ridiculous and cruel." You shouted with tears in your eyes, and your voice is breaking with emotion. And Jungkook looks taken aback, his brows furrowed. "What are you talking about? I never..." You cut him off, too furious to let him finish. "Don't even dare to lie, Mr. John. I know everything. The missing footage, the sabotage, it was all you, wasn't it? You didn't have to ruin everything just to get rid of me." You shouted, tears brimming from your eyes. "I trusted you. I never imagined you would do that to me. But you did, and now you have lost your dream project too. Was it worth it?" You ask emotionally, your voice is barely above a whisper. Jungkook is clearly confused and worried. His heart is aching seeing your tears. He steps closer and grabs your shoulders, trying to calm you down. "One, please calm down. You are misunderstanding something. I don't know who has filled your head with this nonsense. But you angrily push him away and shouted, "Don't touch me." Jungkook's face tightens with concern. "Listen, I don't know what you have seen, but this is all wrong. I swear I had nothing to do with this." You shake your head, your emotions all over the place. "I'm not a kid, Mr. John. Athena is the proof that you are behind all this." His brows frowned in confusion. He tries to reason with you, desperation creeping into his face. If this is about Athena becoming my secretary, it's nonsense. Young President Namjoon has made the decision. I didn't even accept her as my secretary. You glare at him, your voice filled with hurt and anger. Do you think I will believe you after everything? Never. I don't even want to see your face anymore. You wanted Athena as your secretary, right? Then have her. I will submit my resignation letter tomorrow. Your words cut deep and Jungkook's expression shifts to pain. His face falls. Desperation is clear in his eyes. Wan, please try to understand. You are misunderstanding everything. He reaches out again, trying to calm you, but you step back, jerking your arm away from his touch. With all the pain boiling over, you shout, "Don't touch me. I hate you, Mr. John. I hate you so much." Your words echo in the room, and Jungkook stands frozen, his hand dropping as the weight of your anger and hurt sinks in. His expression is one of pure devastation, but you don't wait for his response. You turn and walk out, your heart heavy with betrayal, leaving him standing there shattered. Jungkook rushes out of the office. He is full of rage and desperation. As he storms out of the office, his eyes land on Athena, who is casually sitting at her desk. The moment she sees him, she stands up, but before she can say anything, Jungkook grabs her by the throat, his anger taking over. "What nonsense have you filled in her head?" he growls, his grip tightening as his eyes burn with fury. Athena struggles, shock flickering across her face. "What are you talking about, sir?" she chokes out, trying to pry his hands away, her eyes wide with fear. "You know exactly what I mean. Did you make Ryan think I was behind the missing footage?" Athena gasps for air. Jungkook's grip loosens slightly, but his gaze remains fixed on her with intensity. She stumbles and gasps for breath. "What are you talking about, sir? I have not made wine today." Jungkook frowns in confusion. "Then who the hell filled this nonsense in her head? I swear, Athena, if I found out you're behind this, you won't see next sunrise." He shouted, his voice is sharp, filled with frustration and anger. Athena gulps, visibly shaken by his threat. She raises her hands defensively, fear flickering in her eyes. "I swear, sir, I had nothing to do with it. I don't know how she got this idea, but it was not me." Jungkook's eyes narrow, his mind racing to figure out who could have caused such a mess. Athena continues speaking. "Maybe Vine just made up this story in her mind when she saw me as your secretary. Perhaps she is jealous and now she is accusing you. You don't know her, sir. She is a real..." Jungkook's expression darkens, and he steps closer and grabs Athena's throat, and she gasps. "Talk about her like that again and you will regret it." "And who do you think you are to talk about her like that? Do you even know her at all?" "I know her. She can never get jealous of someone else's success. Do you get that?" He jerked her away and she coughed and catches for breath. "Think whatever you want, sir, but she is really jealous." "Don't you dare finish your sentence. You have no idea what you are saying. And listen carefully. If I found out you are behind this, you will regret it. I'll make you regret it." He warned, then ran away from there to search you. Athena sighs furiously before stomping her feet on the floor in annoyance. "Bind you, I will kill you." Tears are flowing down your face. You reach to your desk and grab your bag, then make your way downstairs. Outside, you are waiting for a taxi. Your heart is heavy with hurt and betrayal. As you stand there trying to hold yourself together, Jungkook comes running out, frantically searching for you. The moment he spots you, he freezes for a second, then quickly rushes to you. "Vine, please, listen to me. There's some misunderstanding. Let me explain," he pleads, his voice filled with desperation. but you shook your head vigorously, not wanting to hear anymore. The pain in your chest only deepens as you glance at him, your eyes filled with tears. Please stay away from me, you said while breaking into sobs. His heart clenched on seeing you in this condition. Soon the taxi pulls up in front of you, and as you reach for the door, Jungkook grabs your hand in a desperate attempt to stop you. Van, please, just listen, he begs, his eyes full of worry. You jerk your hand away, unable to hold back your anger and pain. I don't want to hear anything from you anymore, you shouted while tears streamed down your eyes. And without another word, you get inside the taxi and shut the door. Jungkook quickly knocks on the window, his voice muffled but urgent. Van, please, let me explain. You're misunderstanding everything. But you ignore him, your heart is too broken to care. Let's go, driver, you instruct, and the taxi starts to move. No, please, Van, you need to hear me, please, he said while knocking the window. Jungkook begins running after the taxi, his voice fading as the distance between you grows. His desperate chase falls short, and eventually he slowed down and watched helplessly as the taxi disappears into the distance, leaving him standing there defeated and heartbroken. Jungkook collapses to his knees, running his hand through his hair in frustration. I can't let this happen. I have to do something. Without wasting a moment, he pulls out his phone and quickly dials Deck's number. His hands tremble slightly as he presses the call button, his mind racing with thoughts of how to fix this before it's too late. As the phone rings, Jungkook mutters to himself, I have to make this right. I can't lose her like this. When Dex finally answers, Jungkook speaks urgently. Dex, I need you to dig deeper into everything, security footage, anything, and especially Athena. Just find out who is behind this mess. I need to clear things up with Van before it's too late. Noted, boss. I'll do my best. Jungkook sat aside at the footpath. He gripped his forehead in frustration. He didn't notice someone approaching until he feels a hand on his shoulder. He got startled and looks up to see Namjoon standing beside him. Concern is visible on his face. What are you doing here, Jungkook? And what have you done to yourself? Namjoon asked, his tone serious yet filled with worry. Jungkook got overwhelmed with emotions on seeing his Hyung. He doesn't say a word and suddenly steps forward and hugs Namjoon tightly. Namjoon got surprised, but with understanding he wraps his arm around him and offered him a silent support. Hyung, I messed up everything. I don't know what to do. I have hurt Van so much, and I don't even know how to fix it. Jungkook mumbles against Namjoon's shoulder, his voice filled with pain. Even though Namjoon doesn't know what's actually going on, yet he pats Jungkook's back gently and reassured him. We'll figure it out, Jungkook. You're not alone in this. I'm with you. Don't worry, we'll find a way to make things right. First, let's find a place to sit and talk. Jungkook nods, then Namjoon taps his shoulder, then they both sat together at a nearby bench. Jungkook explains everything to Namjoon. He talks about the missing footage, the exchange files, and how Van now believes he betrayed her. His words spill out, desperate for a solution. Namjoon listens carefully, his brow furrowed in thought. After a moment he says, so the real problem is that someone tampered with Van's desk and threw the files right before the meeting, and the footage that could prove it is gone. Jungkook nods immediately. Yes, Hyung, and now she thinks I am behind it. She thinks I wanted Athena as my secretary and set this whole thing up. I don't know what make her think so. This is more serious than just missing footage. If someone went through so much effort, they wanted to sabotage both you and Van. We need to find out who is really behind this. Yeah, Hyung, and we can't delay it further. We have to find the culprit. Namjoon looks at Jungkook with a serious expression. Listen, the footage that was deleted can't be recovered, but there is something else. There is a small hidden camera on every employee's desk. Jungkook's eyes widen in shock. What? Why don't I know about this, Hyung? Namjoon sighs, understanding Jungkook's surprise. This is highly confidential. No one in the office knows about it except me and Dad. It's a security measure we put in place for emergencies like this. Jungkook's mind raced. A flicker of hope appeared in his eyes. So there might be footage of what actually happened at Van's desk. Namjoon nods. Exactly. We can check the footage and see who tampered with the files. It's our best shot at finding the truth and clearing things up with Van. Jungkook feels a wave of relief, though the situation is still tense. We need to check the footage immediately, Hyung. I have to prove to her that I didn't betray her. Okay, let's get this sorted out. But Jungkook, Van is just an employee. You are clearly more tense about her than anyone else. Is there something going on between you two that I don't know about? He asked while raising his brows. Jungkook gulps nervously. He avoided Namjoon's gaze for a moment before responding. No, Hyung, there is nothing going on between us, but he hesitates, his voice softens as he admits. I didn't realize it at first. She was always so good at her job, but it's more than just work. When I came to realize I was losing her, everything felt like it was falling apart. The thought of losing her haunts me. Namjoon's expression softens in understanding, realizing how much Van means to Jungkook. I see. So it's more than just work for you, isn't it? Jungkook nods slowly. Yes, Hyung, it is. Namjoon looks at Jungkook, studying his expressions as he listens to the confession. After a moment of silence, he nods knowingly. So it's not just about her being your secretary. You care about her a lot more than you have admitted to yourself until now. Jungkook nodded. Namjoon gives him a small smile. Then you need to fight for her. Not just to clear your name, but to make sure she knows how important she is to you. Don't let her slip away because of someone else's schemes. Jungkook nods. I want Hyung. I will make this right, he said with determination. Jungkook is pacing back and forth in his office, anxiety written all over his face. He is impatient, waiting for you to arrive. His heart aches with the need to explain, to prove himself, to stop the distance growing between you. I need to fix this. I need her to understand, he mutters to himself, feeling more restless with each passing minute. Suddenly Jungkook's phone rings. He quickly answers it, his heart already racing. Boss, she's here. Dak's voice comes through the line. Jungkook's heart skips a beat. For a moment he stands frozen, unsure of how he is going to face you after everything that's happened. His thoughts race, thinking about what he will say, how he can make you understand. Alright. As he hangs up the phone, he stands by his desk, his hands fidgeting slightly. He takes a deep breath to steady himself. Suddenly someone knocked on the door. Jungkook looked at the door and "Come in." He then noticed you walking inside through the door. He noticed your dull face and his heart ached. He watched you quietly approach his desk, your head lowered, and placed an envelope on the table. "It's my resignation letter," you said, your voice is filled with hurt. Jungkook's eyes widened in shock, his heart dropping to the pit of his stomach. He couldn't believe it. Without thinking, he immediately took a step toward you, but you instinctively stepped back, creating a distance. "Van, please don't do this. You don't understand. Let me explain, please." His eyes were filled with desperation as he reached out slightly, but held back, afraid to push you further away. There is nothing left to understand or hear. You kept your gaze down, avoiding his eyes, clearly hurt and wanting to leave. You turned to leave. Jungkook instinctively stepped forward and grabbed your arm and pulled you back, then wrapped his arms around you tightly and kissed your hair. You struggled against him and tried to break the hug, but he didn't let go. His grip was firm, yet filled with desperation, as letting you go would mean losing you forever. You felt warmth in his arms, and unknowingly tears welled up in your eyes, as you couldn't hold them back any longer. They fell silently as you whispered, "Mr. Jeon, please, I have grown through enough. Just let me go and please stay away from me." Jungkook is still holding you. His heart ached, seeing you broken like this. He broke the hug and cupped your face and wiped your tears away. "I know, Van, you have grown through a lot, but I swear, this is the time to fix everything. I just need you to stay for an hour. There is a meeting you have to attend, and everything will be clear after that." You could sense the desperation in his voice, but the pain in your heart made it hard to trust him again. Still, there was something in the way he was holding you, refusing to let go. He sounded so certain, so desperate to make things right, but you decided not to trust him, and you stepped away from him, your body trembling with emotion. "Please, Mr. Jeon, I don't have enough courage to endure anything else." Your voice is barely above a whisper. Tears are streaming down your cheeks. Jungkook feels the weight of your words and quickly steps forward and again cupped your face. His eyes are pleading and are filled with desperation. "Van, just trust me for once. Just attend this meeting. That's all I'm asking. After that, after you know the truth, you can decide whether you want to stay or leave." You shook your head, tears continuing to fall as you struggled with the pain inside. "I can't, Mr. Jeon. It's too much." His heart clenched at seeing you like this, but he was not willing to give up. Just then Namjoon walks inside the office. He approached both of you, and when Jungkook noticed him, he took a step away from you. When you noticed Namjoon, you instantly bowed and greeted him. He looked at you with a calm yet serious expression. "Van, Jungkook is right. You should attend this meeting. It's very important for you to be there." His tone carried a sense of urgency but also reassurance. You looked up at him, feeling conflicted, torn between leaving and staying. The way Namjoon spoke made you pause. Jungkook, standing nearby, nodded at Namjoon and looked back at you with hope in his eyes. "Please, Van, Just trust me this once, just 1 hour. Let me prove to you. If you still feel the same afterward, I won't stop you from leaving, just please. His voice cracked as he spoke. The vulnerability is clear in his tone. You sighed deeply and wiped the tears from your eyes, and after a moment of hesitation, you finally said, "Fine." Jungkook's tense posture relaxed and relief washing over his face, while Namjoon gave a slight nod of approval. In the meeting room, the tension was thick as everyone, including you, Jungkook, Athena, and all the key members, sat quietly. Dex stood at the front. He inserted something into the system. Moments later, a recording began playing on the screen. Your eyes widened as you saw Athena sneaking over to your desk and exchanging the files. You were not much shocked as Athena had already confessed to you, but the proof was undeniable now. However, Athena's face was drained of color, her eyes widened in shock as she realized she had been caught red-handed. Her confident demeanor shattered instantly and was replaced by panic. The room was silent, but the weight of the truth was now out in the open, and the looks from everyone around the table shifted towards her, full of judgment and disbelief. "Explain yourself, Athena," he gritted each word, and she panicked and stammered. "It was not me. I swear I didn't do it." Jungkook's patience snapped. He slammed his hand on the table, causing everyone in the room to flinch. His eyes burned with rage as he took a step forward, pointing to the screen. "The proof is right there. Stop lying and explain yourself before I kill you right here." Athena started shaking. She looked around the room. Everyone's eyes were on her. Her face paled as she realized there was no way to take herself out of this. "Yes, I did it. I did it all because I was jealous of Van. I wanted to take her place. I wanted to become your secretary, and I couldn't find any way better than this." She finally confessed, her voice trembling with fear and defeat. The room fell into heavy silence as her words sank in. Jungkook's eyes darkened, his anger barely contained. He took a deep breath and clenched his fist, struggling to remain composed. "So you ruined my project, tarnished Van's reputation, and created this whole mess, all because of jealousy." His voice was low yet dangerous, and Athena nodded out of fear. "So are you the one who filled Van's head with lies, saying I was behind all of this, that I did it all?" Athena hesitated, her eyes darting nervously around the room before she finally nodded. "Yes, I told her it was you. I wanted her to believe you didn't care about her, and that you were the one who betrayed her." Jungkook's jaw clenched, and he took a step toward her, but Namjoon stopped him, and he sighed in frustration. "You are shaken by everything," and looked at Athena with disbelief. "How could you stoop so low, Athena? If you wanted to become his secretary, you could have worked for it, earned it. This is definitely not the way." "Yes, Vine is right. This way you ruined not only your project but people's trust, and for what? To take a position that you could have gotten with hard work instead of deceit." "But how did you even manage to remove the footage, Athena? How did you get access to it?" he asked furiously, and she hesitated before speaking. "I found a way into the security system. I overheard someone from the tech team talking about it, and I bribed him to give me access. It was not easy, but I made sure that the footage was erased before anyone noticed it. Jungkook's anger intensified, but there was also a mix of disbelief. You bribed someone from the tech team to sabotage the project and frame Bain? Athena nodded. I never thought it would go this far. I just wanted her out of the way. You stared at Athena in utter disbelief and tears welled up in your eyes. As the weight of her betrayal fully sank in, Jungkook noticed your tears and his anger erupted. Without thinking, he moved towards Athena and grabbed her throat in a fit of rage. I told you if I found out you are behind this, then I will make you regret it. Now, I won't leave you. I'm gonna kill you by myself. He growled through gritted teeth and tightened his grip. Athena gasped for air, her eyes wide with fear as she struggled in his grasp. Please, sir, I'm sorry. She choked out, her voice barely audible. You stood there astonished at the depth of Jungkook's anger, something you had not fully seen before. Seeing the situation escalating, Namjoon hurried over to Jungkook and dragged him away from Athena. Young, let me take care of her. She doesn't deserve any mercy. Namjoon held Jungkook back, but he freed himself from his grip and again moved towards Athena. But you instinctively reached out and grabbed his hand to stop him. He froze, feeling your touch, his breathing slowed. He let out a deep breath. His anger is melting away. Let the cops deal with her. This is not the way to fix things, you said calmly. Jungkook stood still, his emotions settling as the room grew quieter. Soon the sound of approaching footsteps echoed, and the cops entered the office. Without much delay, they arrested Athena, who hung her head in defeat as she was escorted out. Once he was gone, Jungkook took charge and moved to the front of the room, and everyone else took their seats. You sat quietly and remained tense but noticeably calmer. Jungkook began speaking, his authoritative voice fills in the room. Now that the culprit has been caught, I believe it's only right that we all offer our sincerest apologies to Miss Van. She had to endure far more than she should have. Everyone bowed their heads and apologized. Your gaze darted over to Jungkook, who is holding his ear and giving an apologetic look. You get astonished as he is holding his ear in front of everyone in the meeting room. It's quite unbelievable. Tears welled up in your eyes, and despite trying to hold them back, they spilled over and streamed down your cheeks. And Miss Van will regain her position as secretary with all the respect she deserves, he announced proudly. Hearing those words, your heart swelled with emotion. It was not just about getting your position back. It was about restoring your dignity after everything that had been taken from you. More tears fell as you struggled to comprehend that it was all finally over. The meeting is over, he announced. Then one by one everyone left the room, offering you understanding looks as they passed. Soon only you, Jungkook and Namjoon were left. Jungkook stayed silent for a moment, his gaze fixed on you, his heart heavy with everything unsaid. Namjoon walked towards you, and you stood up. I'm sorry, Miss Van. I doubted your ability, and I should have trusted you more. You are the best secretary we could have. You deserve all the respect and trust. Let's move forward, and I will make sure this never happens again. His words struck a chord, and you felt a mix of gratitude and pain. Thank you, sir. It means a lot to hear that, you replied, trying to hold back your emotions. Namjoon gave you both a reassuring look before saying, I hope you two sort things out. With that, he turned around and walked away, leaving you and Jungkook alone in the quiet. Only you and Jungkook left in the room. The silence felt heavier than before. You couldn't bring yourself to meet his eyes, overwhelmed with the regret for having doubted him and trusting Athena's lies. The weight of your actions pressed down on you, and your hands hesitated nervously. I'm sorry, Mr. John. I didn't know what to believe. I shouldn't have doubted you. He shook his head gently, moving even closer. When it's okay, you don't need to apologize. I understand why you felt the way you did after everything that happened, and I know you were hurt, and I didn't protect you like I should have. None of this was your fault. His words, filled with kindness and understanding, made your chest tighten. You had expected anger or disappointment, but instead there was only care and concern in his voice. Slowly you lifted your gaze to meet his, your eyes full of unshed tears. In fact, I am the one who should apologize, Van. I shouldn't have shouted at you that day. I know I behaved like a complete jerk to you. I shouldn't have reacted like that. I shouldn't have been rude to you. I regret it so much that it me from inside. You shook your head, trying to ease his guilt. Mr. John, it's okay. You are the boss, and I understand how much this project meant to you. Anyone in your position would have reacted the same way. It was a huge loss, and I get why you were angry. No, Van, that doesn't justify how I treated you. I let my emotions get the better of me, and I shouldn't have been rude to you. You didn't deserve that. No, it's fine. You are boss, and I am the employee. It's genuine to react like that when there is a loss. He sighed, stepping closer to you. You are not just an employee to me, Van. I should have trusted you from the start, and I should have known you had never do anything intentionally to hurt me or the project. Hearing his words, you felt a lump in your throat. You had been so worried about letting him down, but his sincere apology was more than you ever expected. Of course, you are not just an employee to him. I still remember how he fought with me when I appointed Athena at your position. He was like, I can't see anyone else as my secretary other than Van. Namjoon came out of nowhere. You both got shocked to see him, and you got flattered on hearing him. You looked at Jungkook as if asking for the reassurance of what Namjoon said is true or not. He just shook his head in negligence out of nervousness. Namjoon noticed it. Don't trust him, Van. He was like, no one can replace Van, and I won't accept anyone else other than her as my... Jungkook rushed over to him and put his hand on his mouth to stop him from speaking further, and you chuckled. Young, why are you even here? Were you perhaps eavesdropping on us? Namjoon signaled him to let his mouth free first, so Jungkook moved his hand away from his mouth. I just came here to grab my phone. I swear I was not eavesdropping. Then grab it and go away from here, Young. Okay, fine. He chuckled before grabbing his phone, then walked away from there with a mischievous smile. The air between you both felt thick with awkwardness. Jungkook glanced around the room as he is not able to meet your eyes. He is clearly unsure of how to handle the situation while you stood there, a mixture of emotions swirling inside. Despite the tension, you felt a flicker of relief, knowing that Jungkook had said he couldn't accept anyone else as his secretary but you. It means something, even if neither of you knew how to navigate the moment. You decided to break the silence, your voice tentative. So, you really didn't want anyone else as your secretary? You asked with a playful smile. Jungkook scratched the back of his neck, his gaze finally meeting yours for a brief moment before darting away again. I meant it. No one else can do the job like you. It wouldn't feel right. His words made your heart skip a beat, and despite the lingering awkwardness, there was a sense of comfort in knowing that. Thank you for trusting me, but I'm so sorry for everything, for doubting you, for not trusting your intentions. Jungkook reached out and gently took your hands in his. We'll fix this together. Let's move forward. I don't want to lose you, Van. Not as my secretary, not as someone who means a lot to me. Jungkook's words left your heart fluttering and your heartbeat raced. When he took your hands in his, the moment felt even more intense, making it hard to think straight. You quickly pulled your hands back, feeling overwhelmed by the situation. You fidgeted your fingers and tried to regain your composure. Then I should go now and get my stuff shifted here, you said, trying to break the tension. Jungkook nodded, though his gaze lingered on you for a moment longer. Yes, of course. Let's go. Let me help you. What? No, there is really no need for Mr. John. I can manage it by myself. Jungkook nodded, then you turned to leave. You turned to leave, but something snapped inside Jungkook. He couldn't bear the thought of you walking away, not after everything. And before you could take another step, he grabbed your hand and brought you back to his chest with a firm yet gentle pull. His hand found the back of your neck, and before you could even process it, he pressed his lips on yours. Your heart skipped a beat and eyes widened in shock at first, but the warmth and emotion behind his softened you. Slowly you began to melt into giving into the feelings you had kept worried for so long. The world seemed to fade around you, leaving just the two of you in that moment. All the confusion, the hurt, and the misunderstandings were melting away in the intensity of his touch. After a while, the broke and Jungkook gently pressed his forehead against yours. His shaky breath is matching with yours. His hands scrubbed your face and fingers are softly caressing your skin as if afraid to let go. You found yourself holding onto his arms, both of you keeping your eyes closed. Neither of you said a word, just savoring the quite intimate moment between you. Mr. John, you tried to form words, but Jungkook cut off you. When I know you respect me a lot, but please call me Jungkook when we are alone. Okay, Mr. John, I mean Jungkook. Jungkook chuckled under his breath, whereas his heart skipped a beat when you called him by his name for the very first time. What was that for? You asked, your voice barely ever a whisper. He looked into your eyes, the intensity in his gaze undeniable. I couldn't control myself when I saw you walking away, he admitted softly while brushing your cheek. What's that supposed to mean? Jungkook looked at you deeply, then after a deep breath, he confessed. I have to tell you something. I think... No. I'm sure I'm in love with you. I have never loved anyone else as I love you. I can't put it into words. There are none that come close to expressing how I feel about you. Just know that I am deeply in love with you. And I love that I'm in love with you. I love the feelings. It's amazing and you are amazing. Your heart skipped a beat at his confession. You stood frozen, unsure of how to respond. You could sense the sincerity in his eyes. Jungkook, you whispered, your voice barely audible. As you searched for the right words, his sudden confession left you speechless. But his gaze never left yours. He's waiting for your response, while your heart raced faster than ever. Jungkook sensed your condition and then cupped your face. His eyes were filled with warmth. I know it's a lot to take in, but I have been holding this in for a while. I just didn't realize how deep my feelings were until I almost lost you. You looked down for a moment, still processing everything. It's just, I never imagined this. I never thought that you would feel this way about me. He took your hands in his again, and this time more tenderly. Well, now you know, and I'm not going to let you go, not never. His words made your heart flutter, and though you were still trying to grasp the reality of it all, there was a part of you that couldn't deny how happy his confession made you feel. Are you willing to be with me forever, Ban? His question was unexpected, but deep down you knew the answer. Your heart had already decided long before your mind caught up. So with a soft smile you nodded. Yes, Jungkook, I'm willing to be with you forever. His face lit up with a mixture of relief and joy, and before you knew it, he pulled you into his tight embrace. You have no idea how much that means to me, he whispered against your hair. You smiled before saying, I love you too, Jungkook. Jungkook smiled, then broke the hug and then gently pressed his lips onto yours. After breaking, you suddenly realized something, then you looked at Jungkook, concern filling in your eyes. But Jungkook, what about your dream project? You have been working so hard for it. Jungkook smiled softly, his gaze never leaving yours. The project is important, yes, but it's not more important than you. We will recover from the loss, but I can't imagine moving forward without you by my side. I realized something through all of this. You matter to me more than any project or business deal. His words left you speechless, the sincerity in his voice tugging at your heart. You looked into his eyes, feeling your heart swell with emotion. I love you so much, you whispered, tears brimmed in your eyes, but this time they were tears of happiness. Jungkook smiled, his grip on your hands tightening slightly as he pulled you in his embrace. I love you too, more than you know, he said softly, then pressed a gentle on your forehead. In that moment, everything felt right, like the struggles you both went through had led you to this.